This is my tried and true pedalboard rig. It gives me a wide variety of tones that I feel like it becomes signature to my sound. This is the HX1 by Line 6. It's a multi-effects pedal that boasts over 250 different effects straight from the Helix. It can, at least on paper, do everything my pedalboard can do and more, but there is one caveat. It can only do one of those effects at a time. I love the HX1 and am incredibly impressed by it, but today I want to put it to the test. The HX1 can do it all, but can it replace any of the pedals on my pedalboard? One of the effects that really excited me in the HX1 was fuzz. Now, I was a little skeptical because I wasn't sure how good a digital fuzz tone would sound, but I dialed in an arbitrator fuzz and I thought it sounded huge. My go-to fuzz on my pedalboard is a JHS Bender fuzz based off the legendary Tone Bender pedal. Now we have to try and get that sound in here. It's not bad. Okay, I think we have a good roadmap. We're close. I mean, it sounds good. It's not the same, but that's not always bad. I don't know what I did, but this sounds really, really good now. I'm so happy. Now this is ready for the side-by-side test. My pedalboard features two stages of drive. My first stage, or the light overdrive sound, is this Jackson Audio Belle Starr. This pedal is one of my all-time favorites, which is probably pretty apparent since I've incorporated it or a version of it into just about every Quad Cortex preset I've made. I really like this Jackson Audio Belle Starr. The Belle Starr. I don't think the HX1 has a version of the Belle Starr in here, so we're gonna have to be just a little creative and do some tone matching with our ears. It's actually not bad. Something just like a little brighter about the voicing of this one. Driving myself crazy. I'm pretty happy with this one. My Stage 2 Overdrive is a JHS Moonshine, which is essentially a thick, mid-Z tube screamer type tone. I've had this pedal on my board for maybe 10 years now. Since it's based off a tube screamer, I think we're gonna have some pretty good options in the HX1. They have a version of a tube screamer in here, so that seems like a good starting spot. I think that's definitely ballpark. It's pretty darn close. Really, really good. this video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. Those are some really easy ways you can help the channel continue to grow. 86% of my viewers are not subscribed, so if you're in that crowd of viewers and you watch multiple of my videos, it would mean a lot to me if you hit that subscribe button. Let's go back and do some compression. Got this Walrus Audio Deep 6 here for a little bit of squish and warmth. Compression might be a little interesting because while I like my compression pedal, I'm not in love with it. So I may not go for 1-to-1 here. Wow, that one really takes the high end up. It's actually kind of a cool drive sound. I'm having a hard time with this one because I'm not an LA guy and it's LA. Oh, you know what? That's probably like LA 2A. I can get behind that one now. I thought it meant the city. Oh my goodness. It doesn't do a whole lot. Nice. I like it. My greatest foe, modulation. I've decided to limit it down to just 2 of the main modulation tones I use. Here's one of my go-to chorus tones. It's not meant to be an in-your-face sound, but it's just something you could turn on and it would be complimentary in most situations. Alright, I've now created the most ridiculous setup of my lifetime. I'm running from my guitar into the quad cortex, and going from the quad cortex to my amp head, back to the quad cortex for cabs. Then I'm sending it to my pedal board for the Mobius, the timeline, and the BigSky, and then I'm hitting the HX1, and then we go to the speakers. These presets better come out good. There's almost a swoop sound to the Mobius that I'm trying to get out of the HX1. Driving myself crazy, but I think this is very close. It's definitely the vibe. I dialed in this tone for one pre-chorus part on a gig once and I just fell in love with it. It's a vibrato sound that feels like it's pulling the guitar out of tune in the best way while also degrading it with tape saturation. Play around with the HX1 and see if there's something that'll give us that sort of degraded modulation sound, which is just a fancy way of saying I want my guitar to sound like. With where we landed. It's not an exact replication, but I think I actually prefer this sound a little more. I think this is gonna be a little more widely usable and you could easily degrade it. Maybe that's something you do with Flux, right? So you can have this as sort of your wobbly vibrato tone, and then when you really want to get crazy with it, you can press Flux and you could have that saturation parameter just shoot up. I'm a big fan of tape and analog style delays. I like the little bits of warble and distortion. On my board I've got good old reliable here, the Strymon timeline, and it sounds amazing. I pretty much just use the tape delay and then adjust the settings based on the song, but I'm pretty curious to see how close of a sound we can get out of the HX1. same level of control that the timeline does, but the result was very, very close. The Strymon BigSky is definitely one of the most iconic reverb pedals for guitar, and for good reason. It sounds amazing. I use the BigSky in a variety of settings. I think I have like 19 different reverbs in the rotation right now. But today I'm gonna focus on 3 of my go-tos. A short kind of works for everything reverb, a long modulated reverb, and then finally that big ambient over the top jump into the ocean reverb. Let's start short and work our way up. Too bad. I think the HX1 actually gave us even more adjustable parameters than I have on the BigSky, and the difference is so slight to my ear. Is gonna be the challenge, because I feel like that cloud style reverb is the signature Strymon sound. We'll see how close we can get with something in here. This is pretty cool. It's definitely got the ambience and that sort of like verb into verb feel. Nothing's ever gonna be the BigSky, but in the context of a mix, I think you'd be hard-fetched to tell the difference. Make an even bigger reverb, something that would be good for swells, or if you just have like a super drowned out guitar part. I don't use this kind of sound too much, but it's nice to have one in the back pocket. That one feels good to me. It's super modulated and just tons and tons of reverb. I was already impressed when I made my last video on the HX1, but now that I've gotten to really sit and dial in some tones, you can count me a believer in the HX effects. These sound good. If you want to grab any of the tones you heard today for your HX1, you can get them through a preset bundle. There's a link to it in the description. Huge thank you to everyone who grabs a copy. It's a big support to the channel. Let me know what you guys think about the HX1 in the comments below. Be sure to like the video before you head out and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you next time. But alas, who talks like this?